Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Above the Noise. I'm your host, Casey Messick. If you're watching on Facebook, welcome Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome YouTube. So tonight's episode was slotted for the power of we, the essence of intentional communities, with the guest Rebecca RK. Now, that episode, we had some scheduling conflicts. So that episode's actually going to stream tomorrow night. We'll do it at 9 o'clock, same time, tomorrow night, Facebook and YouTube live stream. So tonight, you guys just get kind of a random rant-isode. I'm just, you know me, like I go on about authenticity a lot. I'm really getting into talking about radical honesty and really what that's about. And so I'm going to give you guys a minute, get your cannabis, get your coffee if you need it, and we're going to strap on your seatbelts and we're going to dive in, because sometimes I don't know what's going to come out of my own mouth. And that's what tonight is going to be like. You know, if it's an episode and I have a specific topic, cool, I can stay on topic. Tonight is not one of those nights. It is a Saturday rant. So I'm always going on about authenticity and radical honesty and like really what that means. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of people feel like they're living authentic, but if you're lying to yourself about anything, or you're lying to anybody else, if you're lying really at all, you're just not living authentically. And we live in a society that has created a society that fuels lies and inauthenticness. Because when we're being inauthentic, we don't connect on natural human levels, because we're hiding parts of ourselves, or we're lying to protect feelings. And it's a hard road to get to. And I'm guessing in a lot of ways it maybe depends on where you're coming from. You know, like for me, myself, I'm pretty fortunate, you know, and I give my mom a lot of credit, and I reference her a lot in the shows when I'm talking about my own experiences. And so kind of my childhood and this mindset that I got growing up, it kind of helped me. It gives me a good foundation. But, you know, we live in a society that lies to us. And I did a little live stream earlier that you can find if you want to go back. And I was just talking about we live in a society that labels us up, and that we have this subconscious programming that we spend so much time talking about how we got here. And like we're all aware of the system lying to us. We're aware of things that have happened in our childhoods, which is a big thing. And I talk about it all the time. Like, we're aware of these traumas. We're aware of these individual traumas in our personal lives and in our childhoods that happened at these really crucial points in time in our life when we're developing, you know, our mindsets and our belief systems and that programming. You know, I say it all the time, and I've said it in other episodes, and by all means go back and find these episodes, because they're all really good, and it's all true stuff. You know, and it's the subconscious programming. It's these things that happen when we're kids, when we're developing this programming that forms our belief systems, how we react to things in life. And I say it all the time, and I get real about it, because we're lying to each other. We push each other away, and they've got us hating when we're all existing in this same society. Like, we've all received so much of the same levels of programming that we forget about it. And so they keep us mired in this noise, which is why I started this show, Above the Noise, because at some point we have to take the conversations that we're having with each other, the conversations we're having with ourselves, most importantly, above all that noise, you know. And so the noise is the sound bites that mainstream media wants to throw out at us, the constant barrage of politics and war and everything else that's happening in the world, to just keep you kind of just locked into that and stressed about just that stuff. Everything's happening in the world. It's just about trying to pay my bills, and you can't concentrate on anything. You can't ever take a moment to just be like, you know what I mean? Get your cannabis, you know what I mean? Or whatever. I'm going to dip off camera because this is Facebook. take a deep breath, and we have to rise above the noise. You have to rise above the noise with yourself, because that's where authenticity starts, and that's where changing the world starts. Like, if you are a person, and you know, I talk about this stuff, I feel like a lot of times, with the assumption that everybody else wants to like really do their part to make the world a better place, and a lot of people don't necessarily, you know. And I think I forget that sometimes when I go on and I'm talking to people, and I'm pushing this idea of authenticity and like this and that, and this is how we change the world, and we change ourselves first. But you can't lie to yourself. Like, you have to start there. If you're lying to yourself about anything, you're lying to everybody else around you. And we all do it. Like, authenticity is a journey to it. You don't just, we're authentic when we're children. That's when we're probably our most authentic. I can't imagine. Because after that, we just get layered up with the bullshit of life. You know, but in that first 7 years, stop and think about your own life for a minute. Like, what kind of childhood did you have in those first 7 years? What kind of things were you seeing? Because as adults now, we can sit and be like, oh yeah, well, it was this and that. Like, we can maybe have some kind of understanding, but you have to remember that when you were that child, you didn't have this rational brain that you have as an adult. You didn't have this ego, this understanding. You're just absorbing the environment around you. Stop and think about your childhood. If it was anything less than just completely nurturing, there are traumatic moments. And I feel like a lot of people either shy away from those traumatic moments, and they just layer up protection after protection after protection and coping mechanisms that end up just causing them to just continue this cycle of abuse or traumatic experience that happened in their life as a child. You know, and I talk about two primary ones a whole lot, and that's childhood sexual abuse, and it's childhood abandonment from a parent. And those two things, I think, have our society, and when I say in our society, I mean in the context of the United States of America, where I'm at, has got our society completely fucked up. It's kind of completely fucked up, you know, and it's so many people just don't even realize it, I don't think, and they don't realize that they hold on to that traumatic experience and they just carry it with them through their lives, and they've layered up these protective mechanisms. Or listen, I had mad abandonment issues, and so I had a lot of codependency issues. I don't have a lot of codependency issues, but I have codependency issues that I have to stay on top of myself. It was a development of childhood, and it was a development of abandonment, you know. And like, I can't speak to the childhood sexual abuse myself because I didn't personally experience it myself. But when you're in relationships with people, chances are, you know, because the numbers on that, the statistics are pretty staggering on childhood sexual abuse. I mean, we know it's endemic, really. That's had an effect on our partners in life, whether it be our female or male, or whatever it is. If you weren't sexually abused yourself, or you didn't suffer abandonment, chances are one of the two. I mean, just honestly, statistically speaking, the majority of us have suffered one of those two things. And if you didn't, you are probably in a relationship or have been in a relationship with somebody that has. And so we go through our lives and we just never address it. We just keep repeating these patterns and never really facing them, because I don't know, I guess maybe it's easier to just settle into whatever patterns, you know. But what happens is we create these mindsets of insecurities and not good enoughs and too muches, and fears of I mean, I feel like I got to keep dialing it back to that childhood, because when you think about when we're living, going through our life, and we talk about love all the time, guys. When we talk about love can change the world, and love's the answer, and this and that, but if, when was the last time you stopped to think about like how many people have this really skewed idea of what love like really is, or they don't believe in it, or they're scared of it, or they just don't really know. And we can take it always kind of comes back to self-love, which is the birthplace of authenticity, and all that stuff is just self-love. Because when you love yourself, you don't lie to yourself. And when you don't lie to yourself, you don't lie to others. And then you start becoming more authentic. And it's radical honesty. And when I say this is a rant, guys, and so I'm kind of all over the place. I apologize. And I'm a little stoned. But and radical honesty on the road to authenticity. And when I say radical honesty, it's about radical honesty with yourself. And now, if you've watched me or followed me on social media for any length of time, I've put people on blast, and I've put things on blast, and not just people, but ideas, movements, activists, atheists. I've kind of put everybody on blast at some point in time, but I just kind of call it like I see it, and I'm not always right, but I'm always calling it the way I fucking see it. I'm really not going to bullshit too much. And there's a lot of reasons why I decided to live that way. And the radical honesty, it's not about calling people out and choosing like blah, this and that, and whether it's people or things or the government or what. That's honesty, but radical honesty like has to start with yourself. You have to be radically honest with yourself. You can't bullshit yourself, because your life's never going to change if you do. Because I say it all the time, and it's probably going to get cliche, but it's like, you have to live your life like B Rabbit. Be motherfucking Rabbit. And if you're not familiar, of course, I'm talking Eminem, and I'm talking 8 Mile, and I'm talking the way that motherfucking character at the end of that movie handled that shit. He rolled up in there, he took that fucking microphone, I just stuck my earbuds in, and he just ran his mouth, and he owned all his shit. I am Trailer Cheddar fucking Bob, shoot himself. I don't even remember how the fuck it goes, but you know what I mean? And so when dude comes up, he had nothing to fucking throw at him. Because what the fuck are you gonna do once you own all your shit? That is radical honesty. It's owning your shit. It is being honest about yourself. It's being honest about the things that you're scared about. It's being honest about the reasons why you've done some of the things that you've done, or do the things you do, or make the choices that you make. I had to admit with my own radical honesty and the way I am. I use relationships all the time, because we are mirrors for each other, and the humans, you know what I mean? That's how it works, and reflections, and we can say we're healing, we're working on all these cells, but I feel like we need relationships and other human beings to reflect ourselves off of, so we genuinely know how we're being. Because again, if you're not interacting with people, and you're not in relationships with people, and you're not doing that thing, how are authentic do you know if you're really being? You know what I mean? And so I'm all over the place, guys. I'm so sorry. But so it's about owning your shit, and that's the radical authenticity. And like for Casey, I was going to say Casey in relationships. My radical honesty in that is the realization of I can get clingy, you know what I mean? And because of these abandonment issues, I feel like that I've had, and the codependency. And while I've dealt with a lot of the codependency, I realized like the abandonment gets thrown in my face, and then that's the childhood stuff. But then I have these other kind of layered insecurities that evolved because of that, and like traumas that came from my adult life that stemmed from those issues of abandonment, because it made me clean, because I was scared of people leaving, the people that I love leaving. Because when you're a child and you have these parents, these are parents, It's our parents that abandon us, and you just don't see from them or hear from them for the rest of your life. Just, you know what I mean? Or if you were sexually abused and it's a family member, like, these are the people that are supposed to love you and teach us love and how to love ourselves and be independent and like, and they fuck us up as kids. And we get fucked up as kids, and then we live in this society that just fuels it because it wants us divided from ourselves. It wants us self-loathing and self-hating because that's how they manipulate us. They keep us in a lower vibe, But for Casey, like, I have to recognize for myself in relationships, because I'm like that, it can lead to its own toxic behavior if I don't try and stay aware of that because of these abandonment things. And then because of the abandonment, because of those fears of people leaving, it allowed me earlier in life into this drug addiction and this long 20-year just toxic marriage to stay in things maybe longer than I should have. Like I stayed in that longer than I should have, I think, because I was just, I don't know. Like, it's just so scared of losing it, and you accept things that you shouldn't, that allow for other traumas and insecurities to form, because now you have just all these other fears of not being good enough, or maybe I'm too much, or whatever it is. And you carry those throughout your life, and it just keeps getting layered up and layered up. And every time something happens, you just reaffirm it. Now, yeah, see? And I found myself doing it recently, maybe not super recently, but within the last several months in my own behavior of just that fear of living this great life. We fall into fear. And when you fall into fear and you stay there, or you're in situations that are fueling that fear, you know what I mean? It brings you so far down into the noise that you can't concentrate on things, and when you get in fear mode, you shift into kind of survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you get clingy, and it's, and so I have to recognize that in myself, and then I get like that. And because I'm also like, I learned recently, because of an aura reading that I have, it was suggested to me. It was fantastic. It was pinned to the top of my Facebook page. I'm not sure if it still is, because I may have pinned something else there, but it was suggested to me through it that I have a propensity to just dive really deep into things and just get all the serotonin I can from it. Like, it was suggested, like, I might get an idea and research it to death, and I do. Like, people that know me, like, I do that. But I do the same thing with relationships. And because I feel like, again, it's one of the things I talk about addiction a lot that I've had to recognize myself, is I think I have I'm acknowledging and addressing perhaps a love addiction in myself. And that, because again, in past episodes when I've talked about the food, mind, health, mind body connection and brain chemicals like oxytocin and serotonin and all those things, and those are the kind of things that get released when you're in love. When you're in love with a person, when you're in love with an idea, when you're in love with a song, when you're in love with whatever it is you're doing, those brain chemicals are being released, and they feel good, and it's what makes you glow, and what makes you feel energized. It's what makes you get up in the morning. And I do that with everything, and I look at it, it's like passion too. Like I live my life passionate about everything I invest my time and energy into. If I'm putting my time and energy into it, it's something that I care about deeply and I'm passionate about it, and I'm going to put my fucking all into it until it just becomes the fucking dream, or it doesn't, you know what I mean? And it's whatever happens, it becomes toxic maybe, or I don't know. But I do that again. I realize with myself that I do that with relationships. I do that with ideas, because I have billions of them and billions of them, and my mind goes out of control with shit sometimes. But I know I've been kind of all over the place with those guys, and so I apologize for that. If you're just tuning in, tonight's episode was slotted for the Essence of Intentional Communities with Rebecca RK. That episode will be on tomorrow night, actually, streaming at the same time at 9 o'clock. So it'll be the power of we, the Essence of Intentional Communities. We're going to be discussing intentional communities. Do they work? Do they not work? I mean, statistically speaking, intentional communities do not last beyond about a year, a little bit more. There's a few very successful ones in the world. There's a few very successful ones in the United States. There's one in particular that I found very interesting, and the story is super intriguing, but I'll mention that more tomorrow night. And Rebecca will be involved in that discussion as well, and she'll be sharing stories of her time in Nepal. And so I'm super, super interested to hear about that. So, guys, if you follow me on social media, you're aware that I'm an emotional human being. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't bullshit. And I try and live authentically as I can, to the best of my ability at any given moment, right up to this one, right now. And I speak the things as I see them. And I'm by no means like some guru master of all these things I speak on. These are things that I deal with too, and I'm applying to my own life. And I simply try and share them up here above the noise, because again, guys, like, we can do a million things down here to keep ourselves distracted from that inner dialogue and that inner programming that's keeping us just kind of down here in the noise. And we have to get up here. We have to rise above the noise in ourselves so that we can connect as people. And again, if you're somebody that gives a fuck about making the world a better place, maybe changing the trajectory that we're on, I encourage you to have the hard conversations. Be honest. Be honest with the people that you love. Be honest with your coworkers. Just be honest. Be honest with yourself, please. I'm fucking begging you all. Like, we have to change this course we're on, or it's gonna get really fucking shitty. And the noise wants to keep you in this belief system that the voting fucking matters right now. But I'm sorry, at this point in human history, it fucking doesn't. It doesn't. It's just this fucking cycle show to keep us like wrapped up in this fucking system. There's a reason why we're still voting for the same fucking people. There's a reason why you're still arguing about the same shit over and over and over again. It's because we're the same people. And if you want any change at the ballot box, if you want any change in government, if you want any change in your life, your jobs, your kids, your spouses, whatever, you have to start with you. If we don't start with you, and I don't start with me, and we don't start with each other and reconnecting as fucking nothing more than human beings. I'm sorry, see, I'm getting passionate when I start talking about this stuff, because I get so tired of hearing about the noise. Fucking politics and transgender fucking whatever. And that is not to be disrespectful, and I'm sorry if it came across that way. It's fucking noise. I'm a human being. Sometimes I think I'm an alien. I'm not gonna lie. That's a joke, kind of. But sometimes I fucking wonder, was I dropped here from the fucking mothership? Memory wiped clean, and now I'm just here to talk about the human experience all the time. Sometimes I wonder by the own words that come out of my mouth. Never mind the fucking labels, guys. It's all there to keep us from connecting on the simple fact that we are all human beings. We all fucking breathe. We all fucking get cut and bleed red. It doesn't fucking matter what skin color I have. It's gonna be red. It doesn't matter if I'm gay, if I'm straight, if I'm trans. If you cut me, it's fucking red. If you suffocate me with an inch, I'm going to fucking die. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're humans. We are balls of nothing more than high vibe and energy, honestly, guys. And I'm not going to get all metaphysical in this episode. That's for another episode down the road. please, like I'm begging you, be honest with each other, respect each other. But it's like, if you don't respect yourself because you have these traumas that you don't think you're good enough, or you're always trying to like make up for like whatever void in your life, figure out what the fuck it is and fill it with love and creativity and passion for the things that you want to do in life. Because we're just running around fucking hurting each other and either not knowing, not caring, or very much caring and doing it on purpose because that's your own issue and you don't really give a fuck because there's a tons of narcissists running around out there, and that's another fucking episode down the road at some point. Narcissists. But take time to rise above the noise, guys. And the easiest way I can suggest to do that and start making these connections is, I say it all the time, and this is going to be the part of the show where I make the shameless self-plug for myself and what I'm attempting to do, but I'm also going to encourage you to do the same thing. So I guess this would almost make it the infomercial segment of the show. And so I say it all the time, guys. Our social media platforms, we can make them whatever we want. You know, we can blame what we see on the algorithms. We can blame all this and that, but the algorithms are only working off of your input. That's the way that shit works. It's input, output. You're seeing all that shit because that's what the fuck you're feeding in, you know? And so we have to be careful that you're not contributing to the noise. This is above the noise. And the way I suggest doing that a lot of times is take your block of this digital social cityscape that we operate in, because it's a part of our lives. Social media is a part of our lives, whether you like it or not, and we can make it whatever we want. I choose to take part of my time on my corner here on Facebook and YouTube, and I'm going to do Above the Noise. And I'm on my soapbox, and I'm socializing, I'm philosophizing, I'm cannabinizing, I'm humanizing, connecting. That's what I choose to do. And so I try and tell people, do that. Like, do a live stream. If you like to paint a picture, show us the canvas, paint a picture. If you like to just rant like I do and talk because I have to talk, it's how I process. Doing this is really good for me too. And so I always kind of hope to share things with you guys. If you're a singer, sing us a song, live stream, sing it. And just like I'm doing in this ticker right here, drop your Cash App, drop your PayPal, and imagine, listen, you know, how much time do we spend doom scrolling on Facebook and social media? Are you doom scrolling? I'd say maybe you're hope scrolling. Maybe we're really hope scrolling. Maybe we have to change the language that we're using, because, I mean, semantics matters sometimes, and the language you use in your life, it matters. And so, you know, you're on a digital social, you know, your digital social scape here, and I encourage people to take your block and do what you want with it. And so for me, I've imagined I'm on my digital, you know, I'm on my soapbox here on my block. I got my hat open, you know, and I'm not going to get too much into the content creation or the creator economy tonight, because that's 2 episodes away, or 3 now, because tomorrow we'll be in touch with communities. But be sure to check that one out, because it's going to be very interesting, because I've got a lot of great ideas on it, I feel like. And if you're somebody that's into content creation, or you're looking to get into it, I would encourage everybody to do it, honestly, because we live in a time when the camera on your phone is better than the camera that Hollywood was using 20 years ago. We have all the means to really start creating these dreams and do what we want to with our lives, you know, and whatever you want to do it, you know what I mean? And the simplest way I can suggest you to get started is just start live streaming. Just do your shit. Start up a show if you want, start up a podcast. Again, just sing fucking songs, paint pictures. If you're a photographer, take us on photo shoots, share your photo gallery, even if it's just you flipping through the photo gallery, share it with us. Share your passions with us, because we see so much of what we hate, and that's all we do. Like, people just going on about what we hate. Promote what you love rather than bashing what you hate. Do it, put it out there. Like, and the more you do it, the better you'll get. Sometimes nobody's going to be watching. Sometimes people are going to be watching. Sometimes you're going to have some good art, good painting, a good song, some good photographs, a good rant, a good episode, a good show. Sometimes you're not. You just got to keep rolling with it. And the more you do it, just believe in yourself. And that's why I do this, because, we talk about supporting our friends all the time. Support your friends, support their projects and all this and that. And a lot of people find it very daunting to really get into doing that, because there's all these different avenues to monetization of your life and you and what you're trying to do. And I encourage everybody, find ways to try, if you've got the means in it, try and shift yourself to this entrepreneurial spirit, because that's kind of what I've been doing in my life. My life up until now, I have a very, very solid career under my belt, a 30-year career under my belt, but it's been a career working for other people and other things, and just that basic 9-to-5 concept. But I'm very much wanting to branch out of that, and so I would encourage everybody else to do the same thing, and just do little things like this. Put your Cash App up there. You know what I mean? Think about all the money we waste on shit. Did you buy a Starbucks coffee today? How much did that Starbucks coffee cost you today? How many dollar bills do we waste? How many quarters are in couch cushions? You know what I mean? Our friends are out there trying to do these projects. They're trying to promote themselves and promote their projects and all that stuff. It's really simple. Like, throw them $1. If they're live streaming, they're doing their thing. They're singing a song, I'm ranting on my soapbox, and you find yourself during your doom scrolling or your hope scrolling, and you stumble upon, Casey's ranting about something on Above the Noise. And so you're chilling on my corner here for a little bit and you're liking it. Well, I've got my hat on the ground. If you like it, throw $1 in the hat. Buy me a cup of coffee. Cash App, PayPal it up. Streaming across the bottom, And that's not just about me. I would encourage anybody else to do the same thing. It's all possible. It's just whether or not you want to do it. Live the dream, guys, and be authentic. And so I'm going to wrap this up, because again, I've ranted. This was just a, off the cuff rant. I may mark this down as an episode that was not that great. Maybe not. I don't know. I might listen back into it and be like, oh, well, that was pretty fucking good. So again, tonight's episode was just basically a rant. You know what I mean? I'm kind of all over the place because it's a fucking rant and I needed to talk. And so I'm talking about authenticity. I'm talking about radical honesty and truth and courage and love, and to just kind of recap it all up. You know what I mean? If you're just tuning in, if you jumped in halfway and you're going to go back to the beginning, I talk about authenticity a lot, guys. And it's about radical honesty with yourself. It's about not lying to yourself about where you're at in your life, the things that happen in your life, that have been happening in your life, because it is so easy for us to blame everything around us. It's easy for us to blame other people. It's easy for us to blame relationships. It's easy for us to blame jobs. It's easy for us to blame government. It's easy for us to blame so many things. But the place that you're at in your life, for the most part, is based on choices that you've made. Either to stay in situations, to not take risks, to live in fear, to live in this place of inauthenticity where you don't commit to things because you're afraid shit's gonna fall apart. So you don't, you know what I mean? And we do that with so many things in life. Like we just live in this fear because of these past traumas and hurt and a lot of stuff that stems from childhood. And if we don't start really healing those things in ourselves and start connecting with each other honestly, guys, because I can blame the last month I had on my relationship and other people all I want. The reality is I played a role in all that shit too. You know what I mean? And the thing about authenticity and radical honesty is, again, if you're not owning your own shit and you're not being honest about it, you can't really throw shit at anybody else, can you? Because they're just going to throw your shit at you. And now you're just throwing shit at each other and everybody fucking stinks and you're covered in shit. Who the fuck wants to live a life like that? Covered in shit. It's a shitty life. That's a shitty life. If you own all your shit and you're honest about it with yourself, with those close to you, if you're entering into a relationship in any context, like, be honest about where you're at in life. Don't bullshit people. Don't bullshit yourself, because it's gonna get fucked up, you know? And if you're not owning your own shit, now you got other people, and again, this is relationships, this is jobs, this is friendships, this is everything, and everybody's got their shit. But if you can't own yours and be honest about it, you're not going to be able to differentiate your shit from their shit, from this person's shit. And now you got a room full of shit, and nobody knows whose is what, and you're all just living in it. But if you own your shit, you know what's yours, and you know what's being thrown at you is somebody else's shit. But you got to be honest about it. You got to be honest. So that's why I do this. This is about building character and authenticity and integrity and all those things, to where, like, live a life in such a way that if anybody says anything bad about you, nobody will believe it. And that doesn't mean be a people pleaser, because I've been down that road too. It just means establish yourself as authentic and real and honest. I can throw shit all I want, but I'm gonna throw it right at myself too, because I got my own shit, and I can't make my shit about your shit, because your shit is your shit and my shit is my shit. I just kind of want to get rid of my shit, and I suggest we all just kind of get rid of our shit, because we're trying to change the world, and some of us are raising the next generation, and some of us are raising the next generation that will then be raising the next generation. Some of us are parents, some are grandparents, some are getting ready to be grandparents, some are getting ready to be parents, some are just, I don't know. So guys, anyway, I apologize for the rant tonight. I'm sorry if you tuned in expecting the Essence of Intentional Communities that will be tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with Rebecca RK and some stories about Nepal. It's going to be good times. It's going to be good times. Guys, love yourselves. Love yourselves. I hope your weekend is going good. I hope that you're navigating all those transitions and heartbreaks and jobs and friendships, and just take a deep breath. Get a sip of coffee. Smoke some cannabis. Treat your endocannabinoid system a little bit. Relax. Release the brain chemicals of serotonin and oxytocin, and feel good. And you do that by doing the things that you love, and focusing on the things that you love, and indulging your healthy passions and the things that you just enjoy. Do it and share it, because the more you indulge yourself and you fill yourself with those chemicals and you're just vibing and you're glowing, you are literally vibing that out. Like, society would have you believe that it's some just like poetic, we're vibing. No, guys, like, we're literally vibing. The more you exist in that space, the more you vibe that out. And that becomes the magnet of what you attract into your life. We know that. I'm going to say this last thing. I say this all the time. It takes me 20 minutes to wrap up a show. But it's because it just kind of keeps clicking sometimes, you know? And so when you're existing in those passions and those things that make you feel good, and it's releasing the oxytocin and the serotonin and all those things, it's just like, fucking, I love you. This feels so fucking good. It just makes you just like the rest of the world. Have you ever noticed life can kind of just be complete? Your life can be completely sucking, and you can meet somebody and you fall in love, and just like that, the world's a more beautiful place. For a while, all those problems don't even fucking matter. Any of the bills, the job that I've been hating on for the last 10 fucking years, I don't even give a shit anymore, because you're in love. That's oxytocin, that's serotonin. It's all those feel-good chemicals. You don't need another person to do that. All you need is self-love and the things you enjoy that make you feel good. If it's gardening, fucking garden. And share it with us. Because when we share that stuff, that glow and that vibe, that's how we start rising and elevating each other above the noise. And once we get there, that's how we can really start connecting on a real level and changing the world. And we have to keep bringing more and more people up. And it gets easier and easier. So you guys, I love you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Tune in tomorrow night for episode 7. And if you're just joining in, go back to the beginning and enjoy this. I love you guys. Love yourselves. Don't hate. Don't hold on to resentments. They're fucking toxic. They're toxic, and we're making ourselves sick, and we're living in lives that we don't want to, or not chasing things and taking risks over fears. And just do it. If you love them, tell them. If you've got that crush, tell them. If you are tired of that job, tell them. If you need more money, tell them. If you feel like you deserve a raise, tell them. If that friend is doing something that's driving you crazy, tell them. Just be honest. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow night.